Mouth wide open.
Well, it's time to see Scotland's world-leading LGBT inclusive education in practice. So off we go to Dunbar Grammar School. They're having an event called Happy Fest. That's their annual celebration of sexualities and gender identities that correlate with high rates of depression. To clarify, this is a school event held in the school to which pupils are encouraged to come. Now, of course, no LGBT History Week event is complete without some drag queens performing. So let's look at the lineup. Here we are from the school's LGBT whatever plus allies Twitter account. Come to Happy Fest, be ready to bow down because we have kings and queens. So they've got a drag artist called Kenneth Thyme. Kenneth is Edinburgh's edgy twink. Twink, as I understand it in sort of gay parlance, means basically a very young man who looks even younger. So anyway, it says the drag club's where he normally performs. Here's his picture from Twitter. So here's Kenneth Thyme on the right. Not sure he looks ready to perform at Happy Fest. Anyway, here's his personal Facebook picture. So obviously this looks like someone that they think suitable to come and promote the LGBT agenda within the school, a sort of wholesome role model for young people. Right, who's liked the tweet announcing Kenneth Thyme as performing? Well, Claire McGillivray. Oh, she's on the Equality and Human Rights Commission Scotland Committee. Now in Scotland, obviously you'll probably know this in schools, they don't really have right and wrong, good and evil. It's all to do with just human rights. So if this lady is from the Equality and Human Rights Commission, she is the moral authority. So if she says this is right, it must be right. Also, this lady is a trustee of the Children's Parliament in Scotland as well. So she's part of the progressive blob that runs sort of everything in Scotland. Right, who else they got performing? All right, so we've got Ivy Adamas. Now, it seems that this drag artist might be sort of named after a porn performer, possibly. I'm not quite sure. Anyway, so let's have a look about this performer. There's a tweet from the drag venue where he normally performs. That's one of the events he's been in, Queer Death Experience. Now, let's have a look who likes the tweet announcing this one. Oh, Mrs Claire Slather, the head teacher at Dunbar Grammar School, is delighted that this drag artist has been invited to perform in her school to her pupils. Well, I think it's time for us to go to YouTube and watch some of this artist so-called performing. I probably should warn you, this performance is quite disgusting. Maybe you might like to just turn the sound down for its duration, or maybe you could just skip to after it. But anyway, it's up to you. But if you want to watch this performer that's been invited with the endorsement of the head teacher of Dunbar Grammar School, here he is.
I wanna eat your dick, but I can't fuck up my nails, so I'ma pick it up with chopsticks. Mouth wide open. Mouth wide open. Mouth wide open. It's so deep I can't speak a sentence. Mouth wide open. Mouth wide open. Mouth wide open like I was at the dentist. Mouth wide open. Mouth wide open. But it's so deep I can't speak a sentence. My fingers in it. Don't need a pen or a pencil. No, I don't. All I need is my body. My pussy pink.
So we decided it was time to contact Mrs Slather and invite her to reconsider. So we sent this letter, Dear Mrs Slather. I write on behalf of the Scottish Family Party with regard to Happy Fest, yearly celebration of queer art which has been staged by and in your school on Wednesday the 19th of February. In particular, we note the inclusion of 2 drag acts. At the Scottish Family Party, we're of the view that such acts promote a philosophy of gender fluidity that is confusing and dangerous to young people. We're also very aware that the drag scene is often associated with less than positive values. Then I sent a link to the video that you possibly just watched. Your school is hosting this performer and inviting pupils. We assume that this invitation was extended to Ivy Adamas without the knowledge that he is entirely unsuitable as a role model for school children. Similarly, we hope that you now regard your endorsement, expressed through your liking of the announcement tweet, as regrettable now that you have more information. So we invite you to retract your endorsement of this act in your school and to cancel this performer. If you reply by Wednesday the 5th of February, we'll be able to report your changed stance when we comment publicly and contact media organisations with the story. In the event that we don't hear from you by then, we'll assume that your position is unchanged and will commentate accordingly. We hope that you appreciate the opportunity to reconsider that we are providing. You may wish to argue that the performance in your school will not be as degenerate as the one we've highlighted, but promoting the performer to the children could lead them to searching for him online. And do you really want to be introducing young people in your care to the seedy and debased world of drag clubs? And then to finish off, we're sure that there's much that's positive about Dunbar Grammar School, but we wish to ensure that all schools reflect carefully before taking actions that could harm young people. We hope that drawing attention to this event will give other schools pause for thought before making similar mistakes. So, I wasn't actually expecting a reply, I thought they would just ignore it. But anyway, Mrs Slather replied thus. At Dunbar Grammar, we pride ourselves on being a caring and inclusive school where all young people are supported to achieve. Cut and paste from SNP education policy. As a school, we have a responsibility to ensure that all rights guaranteed by the United Nations Convention of the Rights of the Child must be available to all young people without discrimination of any kind. That's why we have to have degenerate drag artists in school. Oh no, she didn't have to say that, but that seems to be the implication. But each young person has the right to freedom of expression. Not so sure about old Murray up in Aberdeen, who got expelled for saying there were two genders. The Scottish Government is committed to ensuring that children and young people who are gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender or intersex experience an inclusive education and learn about LGBT issues at school. We're extremely proud of our active LGBT plus student group who do a great deal of positive work within our school community. And Mrs Slather here has just been like a sort of orthodox talking machine, just parroting the lines, as I say, cut and pasted from just what everyone says in Scottish education. Right, the organisers of the event have liaised with all performers to ensure that their act on the evening is suitable for a family audience of all ages. We have become aware that one of the performers who was initially booked to perform had a video on YouTube which was not suitable for a teenage audience. Yeah, that's the one we sent to them. We've since made the decision that they will no longer perform. So she has backed down as far as Ivy Adamas is concerned, and he is now cancelled at Happy Fest. We're looking forward to hosting a successful event which both reflects and celebrates diversity within our community. So who's the replacement act? Here we are. So this is a female drag artist, and it says in the tweet, women can absolutely do drag. Now in most Scottish schools, like, diversity is like a god, so you have to worship it. So a man dressed as a woman, that's diverse. But a woman dressed as a man dressed as a woman, that's even more diverse. So that's better still. But I think it raises an important question. Can a man be a female drag performer? In other words, can a man dressed as a woman pretend to be a woman dressed as a man dressed as a woman? I think the only way to get to the bottom of this is for someone to do a PhD on the issue at the Gender Studies Department at Stirling University. So Dunbar Grammar School is leading the way in LGBT inclusive education. I'm sure they'll be getting a pat on the head from John Swinney before too long. We really learnt about what was going on through one of their Twitter accounts. Wasn't on the school website. They didn't seem to be making any effort particularly to make the general public aware of it. We actually raised another issue with Dunbar Grammar School as well, and they didn't back down over that one. We'll cover that in the next video. In some ways it's even more concerning than this one. But what do we learn here? What we learn is that this performer, this purveyor of filth, was invited into a school to perform for school children. Who stopped it? Was it the head teacher who had good judgment and insight? No. Was it any staff in the school that said, hang on a minute? No. Was it the council that supervised that school, responsible for it? No. Was it the parents? Well, no, because probably most of them don't really know about it. Was it the local MSP that came along and said, oh, I'm not sure what you're doing here? No. We did. The Scottish Family Party did. We protected the kids from Dunbar Grammar School from corruption. But that's a one-off, isolated victory. If we can get Scottish Family Party MSPs into Holyrood, we can protect children all over Scotland. That's our vision. If you want to support it, then join the Scottish Family Party via the link below. Thanks for watching.